I told you, Charlie, and I just banned you. Fuck you, Charlie. I'm sick of you. I'm not your friend. I'm not your buddy. I don't want anything to do with you, Charlie. You're an idiot. Fuck you. You threatened to murder me. Fuck you and Wiggin. Both of you. Not BSing. Fuck you, Charlie. I'd fucking smash you right in the face if I could.
Hey, it's Larry O'Connor here. Are you working on the Hill or at a think tank, or are you a young professional desiring a career in American politics? Click right here to learn more about Hillsdale College's part-time MA in government degree and incredibly generous scholarship.
Can be built and requires stepped-up reporting on noise and vibrations at data centers. The plan will come to a vote in May. Cuts in government spending have not only sent more people looking for help from food banks these days, they also have food banks looking for help too.
Just from 23 to 24, we saw a 17% increase in the number of guests needing our help.
Karen Ergenbright leads the Dulles South Food Pantry, and even though they don't depend on USDA assistance, they're seeing the increase in those who need, even in Loudoun County, one of the richest in the U.S.
People are very surprised because I believe that in this area where there is a lot of wealth, people they have their blinders on. They don't see it.
At the other food banks across the area and the country, expected government food shipments in the neighborhood of $500 million meant to help those in need have been canceled. Scotland on WMAL and WMAL.com.
The Dow futures are up 67, NASDAQ futures down 13. Traffic and weather next.
Hey y'all, it's Caitlin and Kane Brown here with Wayfair. As a growing family, one of our favorite things is Game Night Wayfair Edition.
Let's do it. You got to name as many Wayfair furniture and decor categories as you can. Ready? Go.
Sofas, bar stools, beds, ottomans, outdoor seating, bookshelves, kitchen tables, garden sheds, mid-century modern layouts.
Time. Nice. You got 9 out of a lot. Not too bad. Keep practicing by visiting Wayfair.com, where you can shop every style for every home.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflesh.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe, and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflesh.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflesh.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free, so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflesh.com.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Jamie Whitten in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
Virginia, no late problems on northbound 95, but watch for delays on the inner loop of the Beltway from 95 to get you past the Little River Turnpike. Crash before Braddock Road have been cleared to the shoulder. Still jammed from near the Pentagon across the 14th Street Bridge. Water main break in Fairfax. Braddock Road outside of the Beltway, westbound jam from Burke Station Road to Roberts Road, where the right lane is blocked. Southbound on the 270 spur. Watch for delays to join the outer loop heading toward the American Legion Bridge. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Today will be the chilliest day of the week, afternoon highs in the mid-50s. It'll become windy, especially through the afternoon, with a mix of sun and clouds. Clear and cold tonight as we fall into the 30s. Tomorrow afternoon, sunny in the low 60s. Upper 60s Friday with added clouds. Low 80s Saturday, in the upper 70s Sunday. I'm 7 News meteorologist Eileen Whalen in the First Alert Weather Center.
Right now it is 48 at Reagan National. I'm John Matthews. News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Chris Plant.
But the point here is it was so simple, so easy, so sloppy to add a journalist from the Atlantic. And of course, Goldberg was patriotic. He didn't tell anybody. He didn't go out and share the war plans, of course. He just listened in and tried to figure out if this was real or not. And apparently it was all too real.
All too real. He's patriotic. He's patriotic because he didn't detonate his suicide vest inside the Capitol dome. Set the bar pretty low for patriotic. I think, by that definition, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg might be defined as patriotic by the Democrats. Our media, something terribly wrong with them, isn't there? Yes, there is. Our news, they're pretty darn funny, I've got to say, in their own special way. Hey, we've got an update from the Atlantic. And Jeffrey Goldberg, he's very patriotic. He didn't turn the war plans. They weren't war plans. The classified information, it wasn't classified information. Didn't turn the information over to the Houthis, to the Ayatollahs. What a patriot. Well, you should probably get the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And the Democrats might actually give it to him. In addition to a few other things they might give in, but some of those we can't talk about on the radio. FCC rules, And a very good Wednesday to you. Welcome back once again. We remain at 888-630-9625. A new update from the very excited. They're very, very excited by their own thing here. They find themselves accidentally looped into this text thread, or was there perhaps something more to it than that? Chuck Schumer is calling for, what's he calling for, a civil war or firing on Fort Sumter? He wants, what does he want, a special counsel and committee hearings and create a January 6th committee? Maybe we should look into you guys giving billions and billions of dollars to the Ayatollahs to fund the Houthis, because Joe Biden provided funding to Iran, which provides funding to the Houthis, who are a radical Islamic jihadi terror group, genocidal, racist, Jew haters, and the Democrats. The source of the river on everything might be the Democrat Party with our tax dollars. They love to take our tax dollars and use them for nefarious reasons. Womp, womp, womp. They are really something. I do have the update for you, because, they were funding the Houthis by way of, they're always buffers like the Corleone family, and they funneled billions to Iran, the Ayatollahs, in the first instance in exchange for 5 hostages that the Ayatollahs were holding. They're religious leaders, and not exactly the Pope, but never mind that. The Ayatollah got, $6 billion in exchange for 5 hostages from Joe Biden, funding Hamas, waging war against Israel, funding the Houthis, waging war against Israel and the United States, and European and Asian shipping going into the Red Sea, headed toward the Suez Canal. But the Democrats, it's almost like they're not on our side. But I don't know if they stole stuff when it comes to this text thread, whether they wheedled their way in legitimately like the weasels that they are, Jeffrey Goldberg and all that. But now they're very, very excited. I mean, they're really aroused, and they think they've really got something here. And Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon needs to be fired. And Michael Waltz, the National Security Advisor, Army Colonel, Special Forces, decorated combat guy and all that, he needs to be fired. Why does he need to be fired? Well, he's the one that looped the journalist in. And then initially they said,
I just see that comment posted in Vegas by Mountain Man.
Journalists in. And now,
fuck you. I'm eating cereal.
Kids. They're worse.
Enjoy the show.
The left, the Democrat Party. Nobody's murdered more people than the left. And the left has taken over the Democratic Party in the United States. They want to jail and kill all their political enemies. They send out suicide attackers like James Hodgkinson. And who was it that shot President Trump through the ear again and nearly blew the back of his head off? Who's that Democrat? Another suicide mission, the Democrat Party. And, of course, Steve Scalise shot and nearly killed by a would-be mass assassin who was a volunteer for the Bernie Sanders campaign. Isn't that amazing? James Earl Ray killed Martin Luther King Jr., the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He was a volunteer for a Democratic presidential campaign, too. You'd think over time that they might start to get a reputation. Abraham Lincoln, the first Republican president ever,
shot in the head and killed by a Democrat because, Democrats, they've got a long history of this stuff. And then the next two presidents assassinated, Republican presidents assassinated by Democrats. One they like to call an anarchist, like that means he's not a Democrat. Oh, he's a Democrat, all right. Make no mistake about it. So we got this, the Democratic Party. And when is their, Michael, when is their anti-Elon Musk Tesla frenzy? I think that's the 29th. Isn't that the 29th? They've got the nationwide, they say it's worldwide, violent frenzy against Tesla, which they loved about 20 minutes ago, and then their mental illness took over, which makes them violently, criminally insane. A lot going on since last week convened. The people at National Panhandler Radio, where they suckle on the taxpayer teat. They have a 3-hour radio show they do out of Washington. They have 33 people on the show. We have two people, me and Michael Piercy, and today we have Jane on phones. If you call in, you might talk to Jane. And we don't have a third person. We don't have, because so we got a 3-hour show. It's a nationally syndicated show, hundreds of stations, and it's Michael and me, and occasionally we get a third person to help on the phones, but nobody. NPR, 33 people on a 3-hour show over there, and they have a sushi chef. Last time I looked at it, who's our sushi chef? Jane, what's the name of our sushi chef here at the Chris Plant Show? It's you. All right, it's Jane. She has, we do have a sushi chef, just didn't know. Isn't that amazing? So we got that. But and National Panhandler Radio with a headline today: Trump action could require proof of citizenship for voter registration. They want to make sure that you don't have to be a citizen because they want illegal aliens by the millions voting in our federal elections. They're the Democrats. This is National Panhandler Radio. And there is a fun hearing today. We're going to keep our ear to the ground on this because a hearing on Capitol Hill being called by Republicans and not Democrats because they know that the taxpayer-funded propaganda system, propaganda network that they built called the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which gives you PBS, the Panhandler Broadcasting System, and NPR, the National Panhandler Radio. They live on the taxpayer teat. And then every time you say, well, then we'll cut funding to NPR and PBS because it's Democrat propaganda network. And 70 years ago, when there were 3 channels on the broadcast television with your rabbit ear antenna, it was, you could explain, we got to have kids programming and Sesame Street and Big Bird. And, Big Bird is now big business, big corporation bird. And Big Bird makes billions. And we're still funneling money to Sesame Street. And what do they call that big company, Sesame Street? Because they've got a major corporation around that, and they make billions, all the toys and everything. We funnel millions of dollars to them. Why is that? So they can buy more oceanfront houses, I guess. It's good to be a Democrat because doesn't matter where you are, you still get that taxpayer cash in the pocket. But we've got a great hearing going on Capitol Hill today. Marjorie Taylor Greene accuses PBS and NPR of brainwashing children, the radical left-wing mediaite, at congressional hearing. She's at a congressional hearing where she said NPR and PBS are brainwashing children. Well, that's the whole point of the taxpayer-funded propaganda apparatus known as the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. And honestly, the Cubans, the Soviet Union, never built a propaganda radio network like the Democrats have built with National Panhandler Radio. In every big city and every hamlet across America, the 24-hour drip, and they speak to everyone like everyone's in a mental institution. Like Dick Durbin talks to America. Hi, America. Democrats are good. They harvest the organs of your children and use them to floss in the morning. We slaughtered more than 1 million children last year, and it was good. There's more parking for everyone now, with fewer people on the planet. And they love war and bombing. They love Barack Obama. He bombed more countries than any president since World War II. He's good, though. But hang on, because NPR PBS chiefs set to clash with GOP lawmakers at House Doge hearing. And very, very upset. The left is, because this is their protected private haven. It's like gangster land. They might as well surround it with armed men. The funding for this. So the NPR PBS chief set to clash with GOP lawmakers. Can't you guys make a living on your own? Well, how many networks do we fund? And here's all I ask. I just want this radio show to get the same number of taxpayer dollars as what's that show called? Some Things Considered, I think it's called, or Morning Sedition. They have Morning Sedition and Some Things Considered. I just want that much money, taxpayer money, for every conservative show on the radio in America. And then we've got the TV component, Panhandler Broadcasting System, and all the documentary filmmakers that are made into multimillionaires with taxpayer money. I just want equal treatment across the board for my brother. I've got a brother in New York. He's a documentary filmmaker. He should be enriched by the new Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which it's not a corrupt Democrat Party owned and operated propaganda network. No, it's open to pro-American people and pro-military, pro-small government, less government. We're in favor of lower taxes, fewer baby organs being harvested and put in lucite blocks to make paperweights out of on Democrat desks across America. But this is kind of a big deal, and I've been waiting for this for a long time. NPR's Catherine Mayer. PBS's Paula Kerger. Kerger, that's her name. Sounds like it's not a real name, Kerger, but that's her name. Yeah, then they're women. Can you believe they check boxes? Michael, are they women of color? Are they LGBTQ women? Because I know how these Democrat Party slush funds work. NPR's Catherine Mayer and PBS's Paula Kerger will testify before the subcommittee led by Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. The fireworks are expected to fly on Capitol Hill as the chiefs of NPR and PBS. They have chiefs, like Maxwell Smart had a chief. They're set to testify on Wednesday in front of the House of Representatives' newly formed Delivering on Government Efficiency Subcommittee. It's the DOGE Subcommittee. I was looking at this, and it's the Department of Government Efficiency. We know that the Democrats like department, right, because it's a government word, and they like of, because it doesn't really mean very much. Government, they love government. So what do they object to? I guess it must be efficiency. It must be the E. The only thing they really object to is the suggestion that government be efficient, and they will lay down in front of moving trains. They'll lay down on highways and glue themselves to each other like the mental cases that they are. A lot of them are transgender. Have you noticed that? Oh, yeah, there's a story on the transgender. There is a Democrat-appointed judge, actually a Clinton judge, I looked her up, who's jumped in the way the Trump administration has said the military is no longer a sanctuary for people that say that they're some other gender, and they come in to have us spend millions of dollars on their medical care to make sure that they're not deployable as they have their genitalia surgically removed and something else implanted, get an addictomy, and we pay for it all. And then we pretend, oh, look at the romping, stomping fighting force that the Democrats have created. It's a transgender fighting force. But the Trump administration has said no more transgender stuff in the military. All we're doing is paying for it and creating people that are not deployable. So they said we want an actual fighting force, not a social experiment inflicted on our culture by the most demented among us, the kakistocracy, that is the Democratic Party. And now a Democrat judge, a Clinton appointee, has jumped in, and she said, you cannot expel transgender people from the military just because they're a drain on the system and will never deploy and can't fight anybody. But, if we need anybody to scratch someone's eyes out, we'll call you guys, honestly. And so a Democrat judge said, no, transgenders have to stay in the military because we want a transgender for, it's like Operation Petticoat, pink submarines, and you don't want to know the rest. but there aren't enough antibiotics in the water. And it's the USS Monkeypox is a pink submarine. What? The monkeypox? And on MSNBC, oh yeah, President Trump also taking action required proof of citizenship for voter registration. Oh no, that'll make us like France. I thought the Democrats wanted to be more like France. And they have 1 day of voting in France, and you show an ID in France, and you get a paper ballot, and you're done voting when they close the polls. But they don't want that. That's not what they want. We are at 888-630-9625, just scratching the surface on a few things we'll hit on today.
There's only one Chris Plant. The Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
WMAL traffic from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center, trying to clear out the rush hour. All signs of the earlier crash, Beltway and Greenbelt gone. Out of the BW Parkway.
Big cup, peanut butter cup.
4202 heading past 450 into New Carrollton, and the inner loop slows into Greenbelt. 270 in the northbound direction. The crash north of Falls Road before 28, giving us a bit of a slowdown there. Southbound, the delay on the spur to join the outer loop of the Beltway to the American Legion Bridge. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Mostly sunny but windy today with a high of 56. Clear skies overnight, low 34.
Hey y'all. As a growing family, my husband and I love game night, especially when it's Wayfair edition.
Let's do it. You got to name as many Wayfair furniture and decor categories as you can. Ready? Go.
Sofas, bar stools, beds, ottomans, outdoor seating, bookshelves, kitchen tables, garden sheds, mid-century modern lamps.
Time. Nice. You got 9 out of a lot. Not too bad. Keep practicing by visiting Wayfair.com. You can shop every style for every home.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Want to get some good discounted food and dining options, reliable roadside assistance, preferred credit card offers, or fraud protection? You need to check out AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. No matter what your age is, you can take advantage of the services they provide for either yourself or your family, and have confidence that their partners stand behind the vision our nation's founders had to enrich the lives of all Americans through goods and services offered by like-minded companies. But joining AMAC isn't just about the benefits. It's about belonging to a community that stands for timeless American values. Regardless of your age, you can enroll in your 5-year AMAC membership for 47% off. Visit amac.us/SRS today to take advantage of this special offer. AMAC's membership is made up of Americans who believe in faith, family, and freedom. We're over 2 million members strong and growing. Their mission is simple: protect the interests of all freedom-loving Americans and offer incredible member benefits. From exclusive discounts on travel insurance and everyday services to supporting strong representation in Washington, D.C., AMAC's here to make a difference in your life and our nation. Visit amac.us/SRS today to join millions of Americans who believe in backing our nation. That's amac.us/SRS. Join AMAC and become a part of a movement that stands for you, your family, and your future.
Making sense of the media.
The news media is attacking him because this is what happens when you're a Republican.
Chris Plant, weekdays 9 to noon.
Now, our news media, really.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news. Making sense of your morning.
Lots of coverage here on that developing story.
O'Connor and Company, weekday mornings from 5 to 9.
Larry O'Connor here, getting you through your morning.
Making sense of Washington.
Asking some very specific questions, some legitimate questions.
Making sense of the double standard.
And here's the latest example.
Making sense of the headlines.
Let me break it down for you, because there's tons to break down here.
O'Connor and Company with Larry O'Connor. Mornings from 5 to 9. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news. For a local news source you can trust, visit WMAL.com.
Thank God for that.
Get the day's top stories, stream your favorite WMAL shows, access our podcast archives, and more. WMAL.com. Making sense of your world online.
We're the stronger than we look type.
I've had type 1 diabetes since I was 2.
The braver than you think type.
I have to take insulin shots every single day.
The type that will stop at nothing.
No more blood sugar tests.
Absolutely nothing.
No more complications.
Until type 1 becomes type none.
Support JDRF's life-changing research, and one day you'll say, I helped turn type 1 into type none. Join us now at jdrf.org.
Bravo TV star Lala Kent holds nothing back on the Give Them Lala podcast.
It's very a lot. You want the headline. Here is my interview. Vicky Gunderson. Who did the biggest number on you? I'm not friends with Chandler anymore, which is fine. Do you feel like you guys can repair? No. Stick to what you know.
Iconic.
Absolutely fantastic. It is like the Super Bowl every episode. Give Them Lala. Unhinged, but also amazing TV.
Get ready.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Your phone has a lot of apps, but how many of them help you make sense of your world? The new WMAL app gives you the latest headlines, perspective from the voices you trust, and weather info to keep you in the know, all without having to remember yet another password.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Stream your favorite shows, get the day's top headlines, and access our podcast archives, all with the new WMAL app.
Thank you.
Get the WMAL app today on Google Play or the Apple App Store, and stay connected.
Serving in Iraq, our vehicle was hit. They didn't think I was going to make it. I'm Latoya Lucas, and I'm a veteran. I had to learn to live with the scars, both visible and invisible.
DAV helps veterans like Latoya get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year.
My victory is overcoming my wounds so I can help other veterans.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
WMAL, making sense of the border, because laws either matter or they don't. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
So I've got the Atlantic with their new leaking national security secrets today. FBI raid on the Atlantic headquarters, like 200 FBI guys with rifles and helmets and face masks. Call it now. Let's go to the telephones, Mike. Let's go to Marty calling from Appleton, Wisconsin. Marty, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking my call.
You betcha.
You said something about little Chucky Schumer. He wants a special counsel, an investigation on this. How about we have a special counsel, an investigation for the spy balloon that flew over our country, and they got rid of it when it was done with its business? How about, I'm old enough to remember when Bill Clinton was running for president, that he was getting all kinds of money from the Chinese for his campaign. Let's run a little investigation on that. Not to mention the two senators that were involved with Chinese spy. Come on, Chucky, let's do that.
Well, let's not forget about Eric Swalwell, who has had a years-long sexual liaison with a Chinese secret agent spy sent to the United States to infiltrate our political system. Her name is Fang Fang, famously. I think she has another name, too, but she goes by Fang Fang, and who wouldn't, you know? So Fang Fang, the honeypot that was sent here, got into the sleeping bag with Eric Swalwell when he was a city councilman, and she ushered him all the way to the House of Representatives and the Intelligence Committee on behalf of the Communist Chinese. That doesn't seem to be a problem. Senator Dianne Feinstein had a Chinese operative as her driver in San Francisco for about 20 years, and the FBI didn't bother to tell her for 19 of those years.
This is the Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
WMAL traffic from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. Late crash on 270. This is going to be in the northbound direction in the local lanes before you get to 28 West Montgomery Avenue, and just the shoulder gets by. So if you can, avoid those local lanes going northbound. Southbound, you're getting by there without much of a delay. It's once you get onto the 270 spur, jam to join the outer loop of the Beltway. Hang on, it's roadwork set up on the Dulles Connector Road westbound as you approach 123 before you get to the Beltway, and that jams us coming off of westbound 66. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Mostly sunny but windy today with a high of 56. Clear skies overnight, low 34.
Today's students are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators. But right now, millions of kids don't have the supplies they need. Donor Shoes is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. Learn more at donorshoes.org.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Strokes are something that I see just about every week in my practice as a trauma neurosurgeon. Any kind of brain bleed is scary stuff, not to mention that stroke is a leading cause of death in the United States and around the world. Now, there's lots of things you can do to lower your risk of having a stroke, but according to this new study out of Ireland that collected data from 142 centers in 32 countries, there are 3 risk factors in particular that'll put you at increased risk for severe stroke. They are high blood pressure, smoking, and atrial fibrillation, or AFib. In other words, if you have any of these risk factors, you really do need to take them seriously. Also, remember the acronym FAST, F-A-S-T, to spot the warning signs of a stroke: face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, time to call 911. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with all service members and their families. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Clarity and context for a complex world.
I'm going to be far more thorough and specific than ever before.
News Talk 105.9. Making sense of the news.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, professional race car driver here with cab driver Artie.
Professional cab driver.
Professional cab driver Artie. Drinking responsibly is knowing your limits. If you are over yours, ask Artie or someone like Artie to get you home safely. To learn more about drinking responsibly, go to beforeyoudrink.org.
So, you think I could take your number 26 Crown Royal race car for a spin?
Did you get out of there?
Be a champion. Drink responsibly. This message has been brought to you by the Century Council.
Bright Focus Foundation's Alzheimer's Disease Research Program is paving the way for a cure. Learn about symptoms, diagnosis, and breakthrough research at brightfocus.org or call us at 1-855-345-6237 for free resources.
Imagine the hospital experience. There's a constant parade of serious doctors, countless tests, and a serious diagnosis. Scary surgeries are followed by painful recoveries. You're in the hospital for days, weeks, months. Now imagine you're a child. This is why Starlight exists. Starlight programs help kids in the hospital cope, build resilience, bolster confidence, and change their outlook, because happiness matters. Visit starlight.org to learn more.
This is Women's Work with Nicole Khalil. I wish you health, physical, mental, emotional, financial, social.
I smoke, but it's not cigarettes.
Redefining what it means to be doing women's work.
I would rather have the temporary pain of discomfort than the avoidable pain of regret. But hear me when I say this. Believe in something. Believe in yourself. That, more than anything, is absolutely women's work.
This is Women's Work from Believe. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. Proud Marine.
The Sean Ryan Show presents 8 points with timeless inspiration from the very best of the Sean Ryan Show.
When happens, what is the first thing that went through your head? September 12th, I'm going back in the military. Learning how to find and be one of the most tragic events in American firefighter history. You know what comes after. You have this beautiful life. You have these horrible experiences, yes, but you can do something with them for the greater good.
The Sean Ryan Show 3 points. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
WMAL, making sense of party politics, because somebody's got to hold their feet to the fire. Download the WMAL app for free.
Man, oh, Manischewitz. Great many things infuriating the Democrats, because they're always furious, or they just want to Molotov cocktail things. They want to firebomb things. Remember, they're not liberals. They're the left. And no one is more illiberal than a leftist. And the Democrat Party, they gave up on liberalism. Don't kid yourself. Funny, yesterday at Newsmax, we were talking about President Trump and voting and executive orders and all kinds of great stuff. And I shared a story actually by the Heritage Foundation, on Nelson Mandela in South Africa, wearing his T-shirt that tells people to get an ID, register to vote, and vote. And the Democrats think that is much too onerous. You know, you can't have people, you got to have IDs. You can't have IDs. It's pretty amazing. We have this crazy leftist, Elie Mystal. He goes by Ellie. That's a man. And he calls himself Ellie, like Aunt Ellie. Mystal, like he's a magical mystic wearing a pointed purple hat with stars on it and making potions in his cauldron in his basement. Remarkable stuff. But Elie Mystal on MSDNC talking about how racist voting is because he's been a long-time promoter of the idea that having to have an ID to vote is racist. Now he's saying just having to register to vote is racist. And something about 1821 when the Democrats were the party of the plantation and the bullwhip.
We could eliminate all voter registration laws. See, when Democrats get in charge, we try to protect voting rights. We don't make voting easier. Now, I'm all for voter eligibility requirements, but once you're eligible, why do you have to pre-register? Why is that even a thing?
Yeah. Eliminate all voter laws. So every criminal gang member from Venezuela can saunter into a polling place and vote.
It wasn't a thing in this country at the founding. We didn't have voter pre-registration in 1787. We didn't have voter pre-registration in 1821. We only started having voter registration, generally speaking, after the Civil War. Why do you think that is?
I can explain it to you.
African slaves were migrating up north, and all of a sudden New York was like, we need some registration up in here, right?
These people are wretched, paranoid, racists. He's a black guy. He's a racist. He has a funny, bright white hair kind of afro thing going, too. And he could skip a meal, but that's not important now. And he, 1821, and then after the Civil War, why do you think that is? You mean when the Republicans defeated the Democrats in the American Civil War and the Democrats did everything they could to prevent black people from being recognized as citizens, and the Republicans got the 13th Amendment and the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. And you know, that's where birthright citizenship came from, because Democrats wanted to deny black people citizenship in the United States because the Democrat Party with their lynching trees and their bullwhips, and, you know, they're the Democrat Party and their pointed white hats. You know, they love the pointed white hats. Now they got this Democrat Congresswoman. She should be wearing a pointed black hat. She is a horrible person, isn't she? We've got her coming up today, too. She's really some. But there's Elie Mystal. And no, we shouldn't have any voter laws at all. And you hear he's angry. He's going to go burn somebody's Tesla because they're all violently, criminally insane, mentally ill, and racist. And you know, it's the old Beatles song. They think they can cite history. Yeah, why do you think that is? After the Civil War, yeah, they went up north, and then suddenly we need voter laws. You mean they went up north where the people fought and died to free the slaves and defeat the Democrat Party and the Democrat president, Jefferson Davis of the Democrat Confederate States of America? Is that what you're talking about, Elie Mystal? Because now you do realize that you're a member of the party of the bullwhip and the KKK and standing in schoolhouse doors. And honestly, no, we shouldn't have any voter laws at all. Voter laws. That's what Elie Mystal and MSNBC, and they're all angry, and they're making Molotov cocktails on the Lucite desk there, and all this stuff, completely insane. Now, they're very, very angry. That was even Elie Mystal on MSDNC, Communist Front Group. They shouldn't be allowed in the White House or other government buildings, should they? They shouldn't have press passes. They're not a news organization. They're a left-wing radical front group for the Democrat Party. But here it is. I even pulled the National Panhandler story. Trump seeks to mandate proof of citizenship in voter registration. Democrats will fight.
Now what? Oh, you fucking idiot.
No, never mind. There is this great story. Maybe we should share this on our Twitter and all that good stuff. Of Nelson Mandela, South Africa. I was in Nelson Mandela's jail cell on Robben Island in South Africa. In fact, part of my rock collection at home, I have a piece of rock from the exterior of Nelson Mandela's jail cell on Robben Island. Joe Biden calls it Robbins Island. And he said he went there to get arrested with Nelson Mandela. Everything he says is either a lie or just wrong, incorrect. But here's the story from the Daily Signal at the Heritage Foundation, with Nelson Mandela wearing a T-shirt that says, "Get an ID, register, vote." And that's what it means to vote in South Africa, thanks in large part to Nelson Mandela. And I've shared space with Nelson Mandela, been in the same room, but I never shook his hand and talked to him. But that's not important now. It's not about me. So the story in the Daily Signal, great stuff from 2013, when a voter ID is worth 1,000 words. And Hans von Spakovsky, our friend Hans von Spakovsky, wrote the story December 13th, 2013, about Nelson Mandela wearing his Get an ID, Register, Vote T-shirt there. Great stuff. And that was during the 19th ANC, African National Congress. They've got their symbol has a spear on it, a pointy spear. I actually got a Zulu spear in South Africa, too. I've got it home in my living room, just in case, you know. And Hans von Spakovsky writing in 2013, it's an old adage that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Certainly true with this photo of Nelson Mandela, turned up in the Daily Caller initially, after a progressive advocacy group called One Wisconsin Now, they issued a statement calling on Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker and his Republican colleagues to end their colleagues' attacks on the right to vote for legal voters in the state of Wisconsin. They just don't want to know who's a legal voter. And now President Trump, and this has got him very upset. He's talking about overhauling the standards for voting in the United States because the Democrats want to have every illegal alien, every gang member, every jihadi that they're waving into the country. It's almost like they're not on our side. They want them at the polling place because they know that the jihadis, the racists, the murderers, the gang members from Latin America will vote Democrat. It does turn out that what they would call the Latinx vote, but the Latin American vote, the Hispanic vote, turns out starting to lean very heavily Republican, which is a good thing because, you know, they're Christian people, Catholic people, hardworking people, family people, love children, don't kill them all. And, you know, the Latin American vote should be Republican always, and it should have been forever. But the Associated Press typing on behalf of their party, the Democrat Party, President Donald Trump on Tuesday signed a sweeping executive action to overhaul elections in the U.S., including requiring documentary proof of citizenship to register to vote in federal elections and demanding that all ballots be received by Election Day. The Democrats see there is the old Joseph Stalin saying that the Democrats have adopted. It's not who votes that counts. It's who counts the votes. And the Democrats love to spend weeks afterward. We need one more House seat to maintain control. And weeks later in California, they're still finding bales of ballots underneath benches, just to put another B word in there. And hey, look at this. We found another 43 votes, and now we're the winner. But it's 3 weeks after the election's over. In France, where they love to go on vacation, it's a wonderful, beautiful country, full of great stuff. But in France, they have something they call Election Day. And on Election Day, people show up to vote at their polling place in person. They show an ID issued by the government with a photograph. They get a paper ballot. They fill it out, then they put it in a ballot box. And by the time you're done with dinner in France, you know who won every election there. It's called Election Day. But the Democrats now, what do we have? Election season, like a third world banana republic. And, you know, we swing from trees from the forests and the wood and the jungle into the polling place. And then we have some electronic thing where, oh, you can't alter the electronic data. No, the hacking hasn't been invented yet. The order by President Trump says the U.S. has failed to enforce basic and necessary election protections. That's what it says. And calls on states to work with federal agencies to share voter lists and prosecute election crimes. The Democrats are against this. They don't want government efficiency. They do want Venezuelan gangs and MS-13 in the country. They do want jihadis from Arab countries on college campuses across the United States, like Mahmoud Khalil. They'll fight to the death, hammer and sickle. They'll fight to the end to defend jihadis, Venezuelan gang members, drug traffickers, child sex traffickers. Jeffrey Epstein is one of their pals. He didn't kill himself, but he's dead anyway. And amazing stuff. So now here's what AP writes. It threatens to pull federal funding from states where election officials don't comply. Well, wait, aren't you guys everything has to be federal and set at a national level and mandated to the states and uniform across the country, everything from the failed Department of Education and beyond. And they're very upset. The move, which is likely to face swift challenges with Obama and Biden and Clinton judges in federal courts because the Democrats had lawfare. We know how they're. Likely to face swift action, like reminds me of John Kerry and his swift boat days in Vietnam, because states have broad authority to set their own election rules, is consistent with Trump's long history of railing against election processes. Now, he hasn't railed against election processes. Now, I remember Hillary Clinton. Does anybody remember Hillary Clinton saying that her election in 2016 was the best campaign and the best candidate, but the election was stolen from her? Anybody remember that? Does anybody remember the fact, as I do, that the Democrat Party has challenged every presidential election that they've lost in the 21st century?
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
You can even become... Woo! Honestly, the best thing about that is the crowd going wild and applauding and cheering. They're mental. They're mental, I tell you. But the Democrats, and here's the Associated Press starting the political movement against, correcting any issues with our elections. We wouldn't want to be more like France or South Africa or Canada or Brazil that have standards. And you shouldn't have to prove you're a citizen, have a passport or birth certificate or something like that. If you've never registered before, you're registering for the first time. What do you do? What do you do? Let's grab a phone call, Michael. Let's go to Tricia, calling from Herndon, Virginia. Tricia, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Well, happy Hump Day, Chris. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you, and thank you for observing Hump Day.
Well, look, I was just thinking, I'm driving into work, and since we're obviously headed to court again over Trump's decisions, I'm getting whiplash following all these courtroom dramas. So my suggestion in the idea of government efficiency is to designate one court you go to if you want to sue the federal government or Trump, and one judge. And I would like to see Judge Judy handle these
guys. That's fun. That's a fun one. Well, I like the idea. My immediate response when you said one court, that could be genius. That could be a brilliant idea, to tell you the truth, rather than whichever Obama judge they can find in whatever beephole across the country to drag these ridiculous claims in. But that's a very interesting idea. Judge Judy make it fun. Court TV would become the most popular network on cable. That's a lot of fun.
Well, if I'm going to be spending all this money on these lawsuits, I want to be entertained.
That doesn't seem unreasonable, I've got to say. And you're on your way to work.
Of course.
Why are you going to work? Millions of illegal aliens on welfare are counting on you.
Well, they're not paying taxes, and we do the taxes for, honest citizens.
They're sending the money back home to fuel the cartels and the child sex traffickers which the Democrat Party endorses wholeheartedly. I mean, who do you think the end customers are when it comes to the child sex trafficking? Well, it's the Democrat Party, of course. And Tricia, I love the hump day. It is true. It's hump day. It's hump day here on the Chris Plant Show. And it's hump day in the Clinton household. That means, you know what that means, right, Tricia?
Oh, yes, I do. Poor Hillary.
Poor Hillary waking up face down in a pool of her own dried vomit next to an empty 1-gallon cardboard box of cheap New Zealand Chardonnay. Secret Service standing over her, shaking their heads again. Tisk, tisk. What might have been had the election not been stolen from her. Thank you, Tricia. Have a great day at work. You know, illegal alien gang members are counting on your tax dollars, and so are transgender theater majors in El Salvador.
You're listening to The Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
WMAL traffic from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. Coming off of 66 westbound and taking the Dulles Connector Road, that's jammed to the work zone before you get to 123. Water main break on Braddock Road outside the Beltway. Westbound as you come up to Roberts Parkway with the right lane blocked. Northbound George Washington Parkway jammed near 123 to the CIA exit. 395 northbound bunched up near the Pentagon. Across the 14th Street Bridge. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Mostly sunny day.
Hey, Cocaine Ken, DA. Wow, this fucking weather's fucking with my. Remember back in Fox 46, I would block people and you'd start begging me to unblock certain people. Remember that, DA? Remember how I would block people and you get fucking mad because I block your fucking team? You guys think you're smart, but you're not. You're a dumb fuck, DA. You're dumber than Wiggin is. Wiggin actually thought he was going to control this. Instead of being professional, he decided to go the other way. Because he doesn't like, if I don't like somebody, I just stay away from them. You don't see me going into chat and in Vegas, and calling out certain people like Rum, and they fucking block me. So you block me, I only make note that you do block me. And now, Dwayne, you're blocking me. And you did, Dwayne. Back in Fox 46, I would block those fucking accounts, and you get... Finally, Billy, unblock so-and-so. Avocado Man, all them British fucks you did it with, Dwayne. I ain't forgetting, Dwayne. You're a dumb fucker, Dwayne. Huh? Why don't you bring your fucking ass up here, Dwayne? I dare you. You ain't got the fucking hair in your nuts. Crater face. You got fucking acne scars all over your fucking face. You can just imagine what your back looks like. Men who get acne, it's on your face and on their back, but it can be anywhere on their body. You think you're smart, don't you, Dwayne? Keep thinking you're smart. All you're doing is regurgitating out there. That's all you're doing. I know you listen here, Dwayne, because you fucking talk about it from time to time. They're still here. It's commercial.
Ever wonder why
still commercial.
Doesn't show up on online search maps, but your competitors do?
My meter's up and down. I've been stuck at 10 for the last hour, and I've only been live for 54 minutes.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
I talk a lot about striving to be more active, less sitting, more mover. But here's a question. What constitutes
I need to roll a fresh
sitting?
joint, I guess.
Well, according to a new study out of Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston, it's about 10 and a half hours a day. Now, you might say, look, there's no way.
Come on, Keith, come up and make fun of my hair, will you? So I can make fun of your mascara.
Work a desk job, sit for your meals.
Hey, Keith Barry, let me see you do a push-up.
All that time adds up.
That fucker dresses like that, but he's probably 3 times my strength. You never know. He might be a tough guy. Because, they do that sometimes. It's something fucking weird out there. Keith, you blocked me and you want to talk about Billy? Right? Here comes Tiffany crying about Mina blocking her. Oh, you're talking behind my back. All your friends do that, Tiffany.
Every day. Why are we the only ones reporting this? News Talk 105.9.
Does it seem weird to anybody like it does to me? Why would Alicia take on Monica as her, right-hand woman?
Learn more at USO.org.
You don't really have very many girlfriends, do you, Alicia?
Listen to this, because this stuff is
JC helped you out by giving you a wrench that day. Because they didn't know who the fuck I was. Well, JC did, but she didn't want to look like a rat. Because you are a rat, JC. You'd be the first one sending someone an email or a text message. That's Billy. Essays always do it. Oh, he right, blocks me, but sees me and fucking runs this suck fuck. Yeah, Wiggin, I'm not forgetting you white knighted for essay, for Christ's sakes.
They're criminally insane. They have some kind of gender.
Geez, I wonder who essay is.
Whack-a-doodle-doo.
Fuck you, Wiggin, you punk motherfucker.
Yes, sir. And I've got to update you on yesterday's big story in The Atlantic magazine. Jeffrey Goldberg. J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, has a Twitter account that's on X. And J.D. Vance tweeted out, it's talking about Jeffrey Goldberg and The Atlantic and their big scoop yesterday that still has them all very aroused, very, very aroused. They want to create special committees and years-long investigations because they use the government to try to derail their, the people that are pro-American and pro-individual liberty, and the Democrats are against all of that. But J.D. Vance tweeted, it's very clear Goldberg oversold what he had, but one thing in particular really stands out. Remember when he was attacking Ratcliffe, the CIA director, for blowing the cover for a CIA agent? Turns out Ratcliffe was simply naming his chief of staff. That's pretty funny. Simply naming his chief of staff. Wow, that's crazy. But the Democrats are going to take it to court because they take everything to court and then they find a corrupt Democrat judge appointed by Obama or by Biden. If they have to go back to a Clinton judge, they're going to find plenty of corruption there too, because you know how they are. President Trump, also on Truth Social, his own social media platform, the fake news is at it again, this time the failing New York Times. I've got that coming, but I have for you the latest because they published a new story today. They're trying to give away military secrets.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News at 10. Good morning, everyone. I'm John Matthews. The Defense Secretary has shared timing and airstrike details in a group chat that leaked to a journalist. More from Fox's Jared Halpern.
The Atlantic has published portions of that group chat, including a message from Hegseth about when an F-15 strike window starts and that a terrorist target was at his known location. The magazine's editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg, was inadvertently added to that group. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, responding to the new reporting, says the Atlantic has conceded these were not war plans and says the entire story is another hoax written by a Trump hater well known for sensationalist spin. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
At this hour, a ceremony marking the one-year anniversary of the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore is underway.
It looked like something out of an action movie. Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott echoing the thoughts of so many waking up 1 year ago today to watch in horror the Key Bridge crumble into the Patapsco River, taking with it 6 men. At the time, Governor Moore pledging to the families of the highway workers.
We are going to spend every effort to make sure that we can bring them a sense of closure.
Today's remembrances come alongside last week's scathing NTSB report, while Governor Moore lays the full blame at the feet of the cargo ship Dolly operators. Barbara Britt, WMAL and WMAL.com.
Designs for the new bridge were unveiled last month.
It's actually standing 45 feet taller than the original bridge. Now, pre-construction started this year with the federal government committed to paying the full cost of replacing the bridge. That cost is estimated to be $1.7 to $1.9 billion. October 15th, 2028 is the goal for reopening the new bridge, with the Maryland Transportation Authority planning to offer incentives for it to be completed even earlier.
7 News' Joy Wang. Fear of more federal spending cuts has one D.C. activist, Terry Lynch, with the downtown cluster of congregations, renewing his call to get broken streetlights fixed.
He recently identified at least 5 dozen non-working lights along Pennsylvania Avenue, just between 7th and 14th Street.
I got tourists from around the world and the country who are coming to see the White House. It just takes a split second. Boom. Somebody breaks into a car or tries to steal it.
At a time when some of the district's most frequent crimes are theft and vehicle theft, Lynch says it's time to take this seriously.
7 News' Carl Willis. The Park Service promising to work with its maintenance staff to look into the issue. A House Republican committee has passed a bill that would erase a D.C. law limiting the city's cooperation with federal immigration officers, essentially making D.C. a so-called sanctuary city. The bill was passed by the panel on a party line vote, but it'll still have to clear the full House and the Senate, requiring the support of 60 senators there to advance. Mayor Bowser, who supports the existing law, has nonetheless stopped calling D.C. a sanctuary city. She finds the term misleading because it wrongly suggests the city can shield immigrants from federal enforcement. The Dow at this hour is up 182 points, NASDAQ down 156. Up next, traffic and weather.
As a young adult at this point in your life, you probably have a lot of questions. Like, what's next? What does my future hold? The thing is, there's no right answer, only your answer. Your friendships, experiences, and purpose. It's all your choice. So what will you choose? As you make choices about the future, the military can be a resource for information to help bring a fulfilling path into focus. A public service message from the Department of Defense. To learn more, visit todaysmilitary.com.
Let's talk numbers. In-person therapy can cost anywhere from $100 to $250 per session, which adds up. But with BetterHelp Online Therapy, you can save on average up to 50% per session. Therapy should feel accessible, not like a luxury. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp has served over 5 million people globally and helped you fit therapy into your busy life. Your well-being is worth it. Visit BetterHelp, HELP.com/seasons to get 10% off your first month.
Hey, y'all. As a growing family, my husband and I love game night, especially when it's Wayfair edition.
Let's do it. You got to name as many Wayfair furniture and decor categories as you can. Ready? Go.
Sofas, bar stools, beds, ottomans, outdoor seating, bookshelves, kitchen tables, garden sheds, mid-century modern lamps.
Time. Nice. You got 9 out of a lot. Not too bad. Keep practicing by visiting Wayfair.com, where you can shop every style for every home.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Now Taxes is using Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get your refund so you can do more with it right in Credit Karma. Now this is taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Steve Hirschhorn in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
We'll start in Montgomery County. We're northbound on 270 in the local lanes at Route 28. It was an accident blocking the right transition lane. 2 lanes get by to the left into ways northbound on 270 from Montrose Road. Westbound on 267, the Dulles Connector Road, that is going to be very slow from 66 to the work zone before 123, blocking the right lane. 270 Spur southbound is pretty slow from the lane divide to join the slow traffic on the outer loop approaching the American Legion Bridge. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Temperatures in the upper 50s today with a lot of sunshine. Tonight it gets cold. Temperatures into the 30s. Tomorrow afternoon back to 61 degrees with plenty of sun for the Nationals home opener. First pitch at 4:05 p.m. I'm 7 News meteorologist Evans in the First Alert Weather Center.
49 at Reagan National. I'm John Matthews. News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. Chris Plant.
Yeah, everyone is talking about this today. High-ranking members of President Trump's cabinet were grilled by Congress after they accidentally included a reporter in a group chat about war plans. Yet Trump called the massive leak of classified information a glitch, which feels sort of like Boeing referring to a door flying off as a little oopsie. Oops.
Yes, I remember the great jokes about Joe Biden giving the Ayatollahs billions of our dollars so they could fund Hamas and the Houthis and their ongoing genocidal attack against civilization. Hey, wait a minute. They didn't. Come on, they're fine with that. The Democrats fund the Houthis. The Republicans attack them, but one Democrat, Jeffrey Goldberg, somehow, and we still don't know how, wheedled his way in to this group text thread. Gonna really need a name and a home address on the person that looped Jeffrey Goldberg into the conversation. A very good Wednesday to you, and welcome back once again. Hump Day here on the Chris Plant Show and in the Clinton household. Hey, are the Clintons back from Deutschland or wherever they were? They're collecting money from various foreign governments, as they're so fond of doing. The Democrats have multiple multi-million-dollar mansions to take care of lots of gardeners, probably illegal aliens, people sleeping in the basement on dog beds next to the hot water heater. Hillary goes down and sprays them with a garden hose every now and then, kicks them with her spiky heels. What does she wear? She wears like Manolo Blanca, I think, because we've got that. And we've got Jasmine Crockett for you today. Social media erupts like a pustule over Jasmine Crockett gaslighting about calling Governor Greg Abbott of Texas Governor Hot Wheels. Calls him, he's in a wheelchair because he was injured by a tree in a storm while he was out exercising, out jogging, and a tree collapsed in a storm and crushed him and left him in a wheelchair. And she calls him Governor Hot Wheels and giggles, and then threw a Molotov cocktail at a Tesla and shot a baby or something because she's a Democrat. That's what they do. Conservative social media users were aghast at Representative Jasmine Crockett's response after coming under fire. It wasn't after coming under fire, for calling her fellow Texan Republican Governor Greg Abbott, who uses a wheelchair, quote, Governor Hot Wheels. That's we're going to get to that in a bit. But right now, I want to get to the big story, because the Atlantic and Jeffrey Goldberg now has been joined by Shane Harris. Is that his husband? I don't know. That's impossible to say. Here are the attack plans that Trump's advisors shared on Signal. You should find the funding plans that the Biden administration laid out to fund radical Islamic jihadi terrorists all over the region by funneling billions and billions to the Ayatollahs in Tehran, which is in Iran. And they're the granddaddy of them all when it comes to funding the radical Islamic terror jihadi groups like the Houthis in Yemen and Hamas and the Gaza and Hezbollah and Lebanon. So really, you look at it, Joe Biden freed up the oil money for the Iranians and on and on. But let me get to this, because none of the Democrats live in a consequence-free world. Now, the latest version of the story is, so about that Signal chat. It's a chat. That's kind of an English word or something. I don't use that word personally, except when I'm reading out loud. On Monday, shortly after we published a story about a massive Trump administration security breach that was perpetrated by you, a reporter asked the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, why he had shared plans about a forthcoming attack on Yemen on the Signal messaging app. He answered, nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about it. Now, the news media, they're like, oh, we got the word, we're going to put it. And now Jeffrey Goldberg sat on this for 9 days, by the way, before the story broke. He talked about the text thread being on the 15th, right? And then it popped on the 24th, 2 days ago. So he sat on him for 9 days. Why? We're going to need, I'll tell you, if you're publishing war plans now, we're going to need an FBI armed raid on the Atlantic headquarters and on Jeffrey Goldberg's home, and probably his parents, too, wherever they may live, if they still acknowledge him or not. So nobody's publishing war plans. Now, the people at Atlantic, they're very excited to start publishing the text messages. At 11:44 a.m. Eastern Time, Pete Hegseth posted in the chat, in all caps, team update. And somehow, and this is the only important thing, who looped in Jeffrey Goldberg? Radical left-wing, frothy, Trump-hating, extremist, lover of jihad, doubtless Jewish himself, probably suicidal, wants to be killed by the jihadis. The text beneath this began, time now, again, 11:44 a.m. Eastern Time. Weather is favorable. Just confirmed with CENTCOM. We're a go for mission launch. CENTCOM, U.S. Central Command, of course, military combatant command in charge of the area. 2:15 ET, F-18s launch. They would ordinarily be off of an aircraft carrier. First strike package, 13:45. That'd be 1:45 p.m. all times Eastern. Trigger-based F-18 first strike window starts. Right, and the target terrorists and known location should be on time. Also, strike drones launch, the MQ-9s, the Reaper drones, right? And so these things are in the text thread. Now, you got to be wondering, the crime here is who linked in this corrupt left-wing radical journalist. I'm going to guess that we've got a corrupt left-wing, and we're still waiting to find out, hoping to find out. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, who is also a colonel, U.S. Army, Special Forces, combat veteran, I think 4 Bronze Star medals. But the people of the Atlantic are very excited. Hegseth, text continued. 14:10, that's 2:10 p.m. More F-18s launch, second strike package. And strike drones on target, also 14:15, that's 2:15, right? p.m. Eastern Time. Then 15:36, F-18 second strike starts. Also, first sea-based Tomahawks launched, the cruise missiles, T-LAMs, Tomahawk land attack missiles, off of ships, Navy ships ordinarily. More to follow, then more to follow. We are currently clean on OPSEC. That's your operational security, except you have this Atlantic reporter on your text thread, and that is Godspeed to our warriors. Now, I know that the Obama administration bombed more Muslim countries, more countries than any administration since World War II, and that's true, 8 countries. Barack Obama, the Obama-Biden administration, and didn't do a lot of good, didn't get the bad guys, probably just got the good guys. And says shortly after that, Vice President J.D. Vance texted the group, I will say a prayer for victory. See, because he's a person of faith and he's on our side. No Democrat would ever say that because Dog is their co-pilot and they're not on our side. At 1:48 p.m., Walls, Michael Walls, the National Security Advisor, sent a text, and they think this is very exciting. VP, building collapsed, had multiple positive ID. Pete Carilla, the IC, the intelligence community, amazing job. Waltz, National Security Advisor, was referring here to Pete Hegseth, General Michael Carilla, the commander of the U.S. Central Command, and the intelligence community, or in IC, the reference to multiple positive ID. suggests that U.S. intelligence had ascertained the identities of the Houthi target or targets, human technical assets, so on. So they're already reporting successes in their operation. Now, this guy from the Atlantic is in the pipeline here, and that's the problem. Now let's get to this, and this is it. So they're texting stuff. Now again, I covered the Pentagon for about 10 years, and when there were operations ongoing, it was not uncommon. I could be a trusted to not be a traitor to my country, to be a legitimate newsman, and therefore people would confide in me information for planning purposes. And then once the mission was complete, you could report with all the background that you have been provided ahead of time. Now let's go to the Democrats, because they are not on our side. The radical extremist, and she's just trash on fire. Jasmine Crockett. If she were white, she'd be white trash on fire, but she's not. So she's just trash on fire. It's a professional courtesy. The Representative Jasmine Crockett talking about this story in the Atlantic.
The fact that you literally are going to plan enemy attacks on a signal chat, and then you don't even know who's in the signal chat, and then y'all want to come at us and act like people of color are the problem or that women are the problem?
What?
Like, baby,
what?
You probably need a good black woman in the room who can check you and tell you that, first of all, you shouldn't be doing this on Signal or anything else. But y'all still mad about Hillary's servers. Is that what I hear?
What about women of color and you deeming out? What are you? She's mentally ill. She's having a breakdown of some kind. Nobody is talking about a black woman or people of color, anybody being the problem. But you obviously have very serious mental issues. You're completely insane. And how dare you run these operations on Signal? And then Jasmine Crockett was at a gay gathering they call themselves the Human Rights Campaign, as though gayness is the only human rights issues on the planet. And interestingly, at the gay gathering, she's yelling about how great Signal is.
So here it is. One day, and we have all these Signal chats. If you don't have Signal, get on Signal, okay? Do not trust that you get on Signal, y'all.
She's a member of Congress after. Wait till you hear what the CIA director had to say about Signal. That kind of blows their cover on absolutely everything. Susan Rice is a radical left-wing communist, racist, extremist Democrat from the Clinton and then Obama regimes. They're not on our side. She was on MSDNC, and she's pretending that this texting thing is like bigger than the disaster they created on the Afghanistan withdrawal.
It's stunning. It's likely the biggest national security debacle that any professional can remember. This kind of planning for a military operation should be done very carefully and very deliberately, not on a Signal chat, not with emojis. For the Trump people to be saying this chat shows how seriously they take the decision-making process makes me laugh out loud. We would never get on a Signal chat.
That wasn't the planning. You're allegedly former national security advisor. That was a discussion as the wheels were moving and planes were launching. That's not the planning stage. The 60-year-old Susan Rice, national security advisor, domestic policy advisor, which is it? Just amazing. And Susan Rice is saying it's the biggest debacle. They don't have functional memories. They have no awareness of anything. Everything that Barack Obama did was a bigger national security debacle than this. Although it's true, a Democrat snaked his way in there, Jeffrey Goldberg, and how that reptile got in there, that's the big mystery. That's the question to which we need an answer. But for Susan Rice, again, you don't remember the withdrawal under Joe Biden from Afghanistan, the biggest national security debacle, and we left how many hundreds of billions of dollars in our military equipment to the Taliban, and you think that a text thread that one of your communist minions, Jeffrey Goldberg, accidentally was added to, and we'll find a Democrat behind this, because they're all Julius Rosenberg and Ethel Rosenberg, they were executed by electric chair, and rightly so. It was a great moment, actually. The funnier one, actually, was Ethel Rosenberg, with a ghastly plume of smoke rose from her head in the electric chair. They were Democrats, betraying, traitorous, treasonous, giving our nuclear secrets to the Soviet Union, to the communists, because they love slavery. They were the party of slavery here and in the Soviet Union, and they loved the jihadis more than they loved the freedom-loving people of Israel. A multicultural, where they allow LGBTQ and Arabs in their Knesset, their government. But never mind that. They don't hang them from trees and throw them off of rooftops. The Democrats are getting close to that here, though. Firebombing Tesla dealerships. You know that this country was built on hard work, the United States of America. Whether you're standing long hours every day, running errands, chasing the kids, or just doing your part to keep the world turning on its axis, you shouldn't have to deal with fatigue and foot pain and ankle pain. And that's where G-Defy shoes come in. G-Defy shoes are built with patented VersaShock technology. The Federal Trade Commission has authorized G-Defy to tell you and all of us that these shoes help to relieve minor occasional pain associated with walking, running, prolonged periods of standing. G-Defy shoes help to absorb harmful shock, align your body, improves your biomechanics, and return energy to you and your feet with every step you take. My best girl and I, we've got G-Defy shoes. Make your feet feel great hiking around the city. Right now, you get 50% off your order of $120 or more by texting Chris to 91888. Or you can go to Al Gore's amazing internet to gdefy.com and use the code Chris, CHRIS. That's good stuff. With G-Defy's 60-day risk-free trial, you've got nothing to lose. Message and data rates apply. Yeah. What do you hear? I've got the Democrats. They are really mental, absolutely nuts. And the intelligence people back on the Hill today. The news media and Chuck Schumer and the Democrats trying to undermine America again. I'll make that clear coming up.
There's only one Chris Plant. The Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Now Taxes is using Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get your refund so you can do more with it right in Credit Karma. Now this is taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. See guaranteed details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Making sense of your morning.
Lots of coverage here on that developing story.
O'Connor and Company. Weekday mornings from 5 to 9.
Larry O'Connor here getting you through your morning.
Making sense of Washington.
Asking some very specific questions, some legitimate questions.
Making sense of the double standard.
Then here's the latest example.
Making sense of the headlines.
Let me break it down for you, because there's plenty to break down here.
O'Connor and Company with Larry O'Connor. Mornings from 5 to 9. News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news. Making sense of your world on the go. Stream your favorite shows, get the day's top headlines, and access our podcast archives, all with the new WMAL app.
This is for you.
Get the WMAL app on Google Play or the Apple App Store and stay connected.
What would you give for a child you loved? To make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. You see, wishes are so powerful, and you can make them real. And give a child back their childhood, even change the way they feel. Every single one of us can make the stars align, because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Wishes need stars like you. Visit Make-A-Wish at wish.org.
Hey, I'm Reba McEntire. In life, you'll hear a lot of people tell you that you can do anything you want. I'm here to tell you that's true. Since I was a little girl, I dreamed of becoming a successful singer and entertainer. It took a lot of hard work, dedication, and perseverance to find my success, but it was worth it. I never gave up on my dreams. Remember, you can never have a dream come true until you've had a dream. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
This is Women's Work with Nicole Khalil.
I wish you health, physical, mental, emotional, financial, social, and most definitely spiritual.
Redefining what it means to be doing women's work.
I would rather have the temporary pain of discomfort than the avoidable pain of regret. But hear me when I say this. Believe in something. Believe in yourself. That more than anything, is absolutely woman's work.
This is Woman's Work from Believe. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Let's see, something different for dinner. Searching restaurants near me.
Right here, ma'am. How can we help?
Gee, same old, same old.
Wait, we're right here. Ma'am, our restaurant's just a few blocks from you. Why is she not seeing us?
Back to the usual, I guess.
Ma'am, can you not see us?
Nope, they can't see you because you're buried deep in the list of local restaurants. You are invisible online. Introducing Cumulus Boost. Get a boost, get found, get on the map. Learn more at cumulusboost.com.
Happy kids heal faster. That's why Starlight Children's Foundation delivers happiness through gaming, toy deliveries, and more to hospitals across the country. Learn more at starlight.org.
School absences are often due to the absence of necessary resources, but when Communities in Schools is present, students are connected to the support they need to show up ready to learn. Visit communitiesinschools.org. Being present matters.
Illuminating the issues.
There's a whole lot missing here in this story, isn't there?
Every day.
Why are we the only ones reporting this?
News Talk 105.9.
Making sense of the news.
Clarity and context for a complex world.
I'm going to be far more thorough and specific than ever before.
News Talk 105.9.
Making sense of the news.
My baby brother, a father. Come on, it's time for his nap. Whoa, he can't sleep on his stomach. Babies should always sleep on their backs in a safety-approved crib, and the sleep area should be clear of blankets, toys, and other loose or soft items. It reduces the risk of SIDS. SIDS? You know, sudden infant death syndrome. Guess I need to start studying up on safe sleep for little man here. Being his favorite uncle comes with big responsibilities.
For more information, visit safetosleep.nichd.nih.gov. Sponsored by the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development.
We're the stronger than we look type.
I've had type 1 diabetes since I was 2.
The braver than you think type.
I have to take insulin shots every single day.
The type that will stop at nothing.
No more blood sugar tests.
Absolutely nothing.
No more complications.
Until type 1 becomes type none.
Support JDRF's life-changing research, and one day you'll say, I helped turn type 1 into type none. Join us now at jdrf.org.
WMAL, making sense of the markets, because generational wealth doesn't build itself. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
I think we have a Speedy Smart caller on line 7. Let's go to Dave calling from Rockville, Maryland. David, you're on the Chris Plank Show.
Oh, great.
Hey, Dave.
Chris.
Hey.
2 quick points. The one mentioned previously about that was a crime committed on in chat, I would argue that the crime was that Goldberg did not identify himself when he realized he was on a chat with these government officials that he was not supposed to be on. And I would also argue that he was getting an illegal wiretap as government officials.
Oh, that's very interesting. Your phone is breaking up on you a lot, but what Dave is saying is that the crime was committed when Jeffrey Goldberg did not identify himself on the call, and that there might be an illegal wiretap issue here for Jeffrey Goldberg and the Atlantic. But we need to know who linked him in.
This is the Chris Plant Show.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9. News now.
WMAL News at 10:30. Good morning. I'm John Matthews. The Atlantic has released the entire Signal chat that shows Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth providing the exact timing of warplane launches and details on planned bomb launches against Yemen's Houthis this month. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt insists the added details were not war plans. She calls the Atlantic story a hoax written by a Trump hater. The Supreme Court's upheld a Biden administration ghost gun regulation that requires serial numbers, background checks, and age verification in order to buy kits to build the weapons. Since the rule became law in 2022, ghost gun numbers have flattened out or declined in several major cities. Recreational pot's been legal in Virginia for 4 years now, but you still can't legally buy it, and you won't be able to anytime soon. Governor Glenn Youngkin once again vetoing a bill that would allow for a retail marijuana sales market. Traffic and weather next.
This report is sponsored by Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell. Divorce and Family Law. 866-323-7529. 866-323-7529. Cordell & Cordell. A partner you can count on. CordellCordell.com.
Steve Hirshhorn in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
In Fairfax County, Gallows Road is closed in both directions between the Beltway and Annandale Road because of wires down on the roadway until further notice. You're going to be directed away from that stretch of Gallows Road. 267 westbound, the Dulles Connector Road, very slow, leaving 66, all the way over to 123, where the construction blocks the right lane. Beltway outer loop is still heavy, New Hampshire Avenue to University Boulevard, and then from Old Georgetown Road across the Legion Bridge into the work zone before the toll road in the right lane. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Sunny but windy today with a high of 56. It's 50 at Reagan National. John Matthews, WMAL News.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months and whose daughter is due any day. We're with all service members and their families. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Today's students are tomorrow's great thinkers and innovators. But right now, millions of kids don't have the supplies they need. Donor Shoes is a nonprofit that lets you support students and teachers in your community and beyond. Learn more at donorshoes.org.
Clarity and context for a complex world.
I'm going to be far more thorough and specific than ever before.
News Talk 105.9. Making sense of the news. Making sense of the media.
The news media is attacking him because this is what happens when you're a Republican.
Chris Plant, weekdays 9 to noon.
Yeah, our news media, really.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
What would you give for a child you loved? To make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. You see, wishes are so powerful, and you can make them real. They can give a child back their childhood, even change the way they feel. Every single one of us can make the stars align. Because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Wishes need stars like you. Visit Make-A-Wish@wish.org.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Your phone has a lot of apps, but how many of them help you make sense of your world? The new WMAL app gives you the latest headlines, perspective from the voices you trust, and weather info to keep you in the know, all without having to remember yet another password.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Stream your favorite shows, get the day's top headlines, and access our podcast archives, all with the new WMAL app.
Thank you.
Get the WMAL app today on Google Play or the Apple App Store, and stay connected.
How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arms.
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
WMAL, making sense of the vote because elections have consequences. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Oh, man. All right, I've got a lot of audio to get to. Look, this is a... didn't know, who was it? Brian Seltzerwater on CNN who said Jeffrey Goldberg is a patriot. He didn't release the plans.
But the point here is it was so simple, so easy, so sloppy to add a journalist from the Atlantic. And of course, Goldberg was patriotic. He didn't tell anybody. He didn't go out and share the war plans, of course. He just listened in and tried to figure out if this was real or not. And apparently it was all too real.
Setting the bar as low as possible for patriotism and to be called a patriot. Hey, it's like I didn't detonate a nuclear weapon in downtown Washington, D.C. when I had the opportunity to. Oh, see, I'm a patriot. I'm quite a patriotic person. I didn't hand over the keys to the kingdom to Al-Qaeda and the Houthis. Therefore, I'm a very patriotic person, just like Jasmine Crockett. These people. Now, again, they're and then the headline, and he didn't hand over the war plans because he's patriotic, right? That's CNN. And here's the headline today. That was yesterday on CNN. Here's the headline today at the Atlantic. Here are the attack plans that Trump's advisors shared on Signal. The administration has downplayed the importance of the text messages inadvertently sent to the Atlantic editor-in-chief. And that is the story written by Jeffrey Goldberg and Shane Harris. And they're going on and on in this lengthy story, reproducing the text messages that were shared. Now, at what point does it become the responsibility of the Democrat on the line, Jeffrey Goldberg, to say, hey, guys, I don't know how it's linked into this. And he's thinking, oh, this is classified, and I'm going to stay right here and suck in everything, and this will be good for my career, just like that whole suckers and losers thing that President Trump allegedly said. And Michael Waltz, texting during the text thread, the National Security Advisor, Army Colonel, Special Forces, Bronze Star medals, says, team, establishing a principals group, that is the senior people at each of the agencies and departments, the principals, for coordination on Houthis, particularly over the next 72 hours. My deputy, Alex Wong, is pulling together a Tiger team at deputies/agency chief of staff level, following up from the meeting in the the situation room at the White House this morning for action items, and we'll be sending that out later this evening. Then he goes on, he says, Michael Waltz says, please provide the best staff POC, point of contact, from your team for us to coordinate with over the next couple of days and over the weekend. Thanks. All right. And then checking in, Mike Needham for state, Andy Baker for VP. And that's J.D. Vance is trying to, add Andy Baker as a point of contact for the vice president, J.D. Vance. And Joe Kent for DNI, Dan Katz. Now, at what point does Jeffrey Goldberg say, hey, wait a minute, I'm looped in on this, and it looks like it could be classified, even if on this text thread not everything is classified. And they start listing all the people, Dan Caldwell for DOD, and NSC is bringing in Brian McCormick. And then Michael Waltz says, team, you should have a statement of conclusions with taskings per the president's guidance this morning in your high side inboxes. Now, the high side inboxes is another communications platform which is for classified conversations. This is not for classified conversations, but again, wait until you hear the CIA director on this. State and DOD, we developed suggested notifications lists for regional allies and partners. Joint Staff, the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the Pentagon. Joint Staff is sending this AM a more specific sequence of events in the coming days, and we will work with DOD to ensure COS, OVP, and POTUS are briefed. So Chiefs of Staff and on and on. Team, I'm out for the day and doing an economic event in Michigan, J.D. Vance says, but I think we're making a mistake. This is the Vice President of the United States. 3% of U.S. trade runs through the Suez, meaning the ships, U.S. trade, Suez Canal, top of the Red Sea. 40% of European trade does. There is a risk, a real risk, that the public doesn't understand this or why it's necessary. So here's the vice president saying, raising questions. I think we're making a mistake. Why are we doing this? We've got 3% of our trade going through the Suez Canal. The Europeans have 40% of their trade going through the Suez Canal. He continues. And this, I admire all of this very much. In fact, my best girl, well, I'm going to share the rest of this and then share with you the conversation that my best girl and I had when we were going through this part of it yesterday. It's what we do for fun, you know. So he says 3% of U.S. trade goes through the Suez. 40% of European trade does. There's a real risk the public doesn't understand this or why it's necessary. The strongest reason to do this, as POTUS said, the President of the United States, to send a message. But I'm not sure the president is aware how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. There is a further risk that we see a moderate to severe spike in oil prices. And that, affects everybody here in the United States. I'm willing to support the consensus of the team and keep these concerns to myself. But there is a strong argument for delaying this a month. Does the messaging work on why this matters, seeing where the economy is, etc.? So that is the Vice President of the United States. My best girl and I, we were talking about this yesterday, and I think it was my best girl actually who said, wow, that's such a strong statement by J.D. Vance. He's got to be a suspect in inviting Jeffrey Goldberg into this, this chat because he knows the Atlantic's on there, and he's going to stand up and be independent and stake out a position, be a team player, but also raise concerns. I got to say, J.D. Vance looks great in there. And there is a very legitimate point. Why are we doing all the heavy lifting for the damn Europeans for the last 80 years? It's going to be 100 years pretty soon that the Europeans haven't lifted a finger to defend themselves because we've taken care of all of it. From World War II, the Cold War, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, fighting commies everywhere in Central America and Africa, holding the Soviet Union at bay for generations, the bear. And boy, the Europeans are lucky to have us. And we should really be looking to the dang Europeans to start stepping up. And that's something President Trump has been busy doing from NATO forward. And oil prices, and the Europeans are buying their natural gas from Russia, which gives Russia the money to wage war against Europe. President Trump imposing sanctions, trying to strangle them economically so they don't have the wherewithal to commit war across the world. But never mind that. Joe Kent then said in response to the vice president, there is nothing time sensitive driving the timeline when he suggests maybe waiting a month. We'll have the exact same options in a month, he says. The Israelis will likely take strikes and therefore ask us for more support to replenish whatever they use against the Houthis. But that's a minor factor, says Joe Kent. I will send you the unclassified data we pulled on BAM shipping. So, and then John Ratcliffe, the director of the CIA, says, from CIA perspective, we are mobilizing assets to support now, but a delay would not negatively impact us, and additional time would be used to identify better starting points for coverage on Houthi leadership. So CIA is saying, yeah, okay, And then Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, jumps in, says, VP, I understand your concerns. I fully support you raising with POTUS important considerations, most of which are tough to know how they play out. The economy, Ukraine, peace, Gaza, etc. I think messaging is going to be tough no matter what. Nobody knows who the Houthis are, which is why we would need to stay focused on, one, Biden failed, and two, Iran funded. And Biden funded Iran, by the way. So waiting for a few weeks or a month does not fundamentally change the calculus, though the news media would be feeding the information to the Houthis because, So now they're reproducing the text thread here. And I've got to say, I'm not looking at a lot of highly classified stuff. And I'm not like, hey, here's what we're, and if it's happening in real time. But honestly, at what point does Jeffrey Goldberg, and in fact, with that, let's go to, we've got a phone call. I notice we have a caller raising the same question that I was about to jump into. Let's go to Johnny calling from Texas. Johnny, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Welcome.
So the same situation that Goldberg is now in happened to me years ago. I began working with government entities, being part of government emails, and I received an email in which I knew that I should not have been part of. So what I did was that I just emailed the sender, letting them know that I felt like that I had been linked by mistake. That way, I covered myself, I covered them, letting them be aware of the situation, that they could take notice and not make the same mistake again. This Goldberg is being treated as a national hero for not leaking the information that he got. I feel that he had a responsibility to let them know that he was part of the email.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Johnny, I think Brian Seltzer at CNN might say that you're a patriot. Right. Since Brian Seltzer called Jeffrey Goldberg a patriot for apparently not being a treasonous, traitorous fraud of left-wing, radical, pro-Houthi, rebel, pro-jihadi Democrat, of which there are a great many, of course. So you were doing government work and you found yourself included on a government thread, an email thread with a number of people on the email thread. You looked at it and said, boy, I'm on this by mistake. And you immediately alerted the person leading the thread, right? You didn't respond all. You didn't reply all. You identified the lead dog. You hit the lead dog and said, hey, I just want to make you aware I'm in this thread. I don't think I'm supposed to be. And that person, the lead on the thread, then responded how, Johnny?
I don't think they ever responded, but I never received another email.
Ah, is that right? Well, that'd be a classic government response, wouldn't it? Because then somebody's got to admit that a mistake was made and that you were on there when you shouldn't have been on there, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Isn't that amazing? Well, you
Chris,
are an American.
I love what you do.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. How long you been listening, Johnny?
Years ago. I mean, like 10, 15 years.
Is that right? Excellent.
Love the show.
Well, you're very kind. Thank you, Johnny. And you're I'm gonna call you a patriotic American. You're a great American. I know, not just because your email story, but because you listen to the show all the time.
Yes, sir.
All right, Johnny, buddy. Thank you very much. Thanks. I just saluted Johnny. I didn't even say it, and we didn't even talk about being in the military or anything. But I just saluted him because he's he's a normal American. Isn't that great? Let's get back. We've got so much audio of these crazy people because the Democrats. Let's go back to the Democrats. I just played Susan Rice saying the biggest security debacle anyone can remember because she can't remember the catastrophic, fatal, lethal withdrawal from Afghanistan where we left billions and hundreds of billions in military equipment to the Taliban and 13 Americans killed, hundreds more killed. And they all no, that was a good job. And then we left the American Taliban. Leon Panetta, another longtime Democrat operative.
It's obviously a very serious mistake on the part of whoever included Goldberg.
Was it you?
In this highly classified chain of command messaging that went on that involved war
not classified, liar, not classified, not classified. Just reading from it there. Man, oh man. And Brian Seltzerwater, Humpty Dumpty on CNN. They got the secure compartmented information facilities, SCIFs.
These conversations should happen on government servers, on classified servers, and in SCIFs, secure compartmentalized information facilities. The idea that instead all these Trump deputies were hanging out, chatting on Signal instead, that is very noteworthy, and that's going to raise a lot of red flags.
The media is just an extension of the Democrat Party posing as legitimate media. Now, I've got more that I'm going to share with you, including my friend Sebastian Gorka. Yesterday on Newsmax, said a couple of interesting things that I look forward to sharing with you. He is, of course, in the national security apparatus of the current Trump administration, as he was in the previous Trump administration. My friend Sebastian was on Newsmax yesterday talking about this episode that the Democrats are trying to turn into World War I.
You're listening to The Chris Plant Show. News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
While serving in Iraq, our vehicle was hit. They didn't think I was going to make it. I'm LaToya Lucas, and I'm a veteran. I had to learn to live with the scars, both visible and invisible.
DAV helps veterans like LaToya get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year.
My victory is overcoming my wounds so I can help other veterans.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Your phone has a lot of apps, but how many of them help you make sense of your world? The new WMAL app gives you the latest headlines, perspective from the voices you trust, and weather info to keep you in the know, all without having to remember yet another password.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Stream your favorite shows, get the day's top headlines, and access our podcast archives, all with the new WMAL app.
Thank you.
Get the WMAL app today on Google Play or the Apple App Store, and stay connected.
Blowing out your birthday candles should be easy, but if you have undiagnosed COPD, you may find yourself short of breath. Early diagnosis and treatment can add years to your life. If you have symptoms like wheezing or chronic cough, talk to your doctor and visit copdfoundation.org today.
Hi, I'm Jamie McMurray, professional race car driver here with cab driver Artie.
Professional cab driver.
Sorry, professional cab driver Artie. Drinking responsibly is knowing your limits. If you are over yours, ask Artie or someone like Artie to get you home safely. To learn more about drinking responsibly, go to beforeyoudrink.org.
So, you think I could take your number 26 Crown Royal race car for a spin?
Would you get out of there?
Be a champion and drink responsibly. This message has been brought to you by the Century Council.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
There are a lot of things you can do to live a longer, healthier, happier life. Some of them, like eating better, getting more sleep, more exercise, I know they can be tough. Others, like practicing gratitude, not so much. Before you write this off as some nutty, crunchy suggestion, you should know that finding ways to be thankful each and every day doesn't just feel good. It is good for your health. Now, one of the easiest ways to do this is with a gratitude journal. All you got to do is open it up, jot down a few things that make you smile. Another option is something called Roses